Hi guys, Niklaus Bauer here again. Hope you have tied your first pike fly by this time. So now we're going to show you how, or actually I'm going to show you how you're going to tie your second pike fly, or at least the idea of how to tie a second pike fly. I'm going to keep it quite simple for you guys because I know you have bought most likely some material for the first one. So we're going to do it basically in the same color scheme. So it's going to be orange and yellow. And of course, if you're not a beginner, this is a perfect color combination and a very good pike fly in general. And this is basically the basics, in my opinion, how to do a nice pike fly with a stinger and the extension for a tail, which I think is one of the best patterns you can actually have. So this one is going to be unweighted. It's going to be no foam or anything like that. It's just going to be that how to make a Bauer pike rig, how to put some bucktail on, mix the flash, make a nice head of craft fur, and then make a nice head of UV resin. And I'm going to talk through all this video, so it's going to be a much longer video than the normal ones on the Fly Dressing YouTube channel. But I think it's really important that we can talk you through all the steps if you are a beginner. So your second pike fly. So we're going to start with the Bauer pike rig, and that's basically titanium wire. This is the Bauer pike titanium wire, and it's 55 strand titanium wire, single strand, and this is really good for making the rig. This is not a wire you can use for connection. This is one that you want to have to do a rig. If you're doing an articulated fly, this is highly it's a wire I can highly recommend not to use because it doesn't hold that at all. So we're going to start with this. So we're going to start with the stinger hook, and this is the size 1. I'm kind of gone down in size when it comes to trailer hooks because we don't have to have them that big. They're actually very, very strong, and a lot of the fish is going to be hooked in the side of the mouth regardless. So we don't have to have that big size of hook because it just makes the fly a little bit back heavy. So we're gonna go with black thread in the back here. I'm gonna tie the whole fly with power thread. This is the 100 denier. I can recommend you to go from 100 to 150, and even the new 250 is really, really good if you're having a tendency to break the thread. But usually 100 denier or 150 denier, that's really hard to break. But I'm just going to use black now. But if you don't want to buy a black thread, you can just use the white one and just take a marker and color it. So first we glue the thread to the hook. And this is same power thread. This is a little bit thinner one, but it's the same principle. So we connect the thread to the hook. We take this titanium wire here. We take a fastach. This is the size 0 here. See if we can get one loose. And we kind of push that through the loop like that. So we have it hanging from the titanium. This is a 2mm articulated bead, so it's super small. We're going to push that through both of those titanium wires like that. Push it through, tighten it all the way down. So we basically have that fastach. We have the bead, and this is just to help this, prevent this to kind of like, if we don't put the bead here, this one can go everywhere on the titanium link, and it's just going to tangle a little bit. Of course, now we're going to tie this to a hook, so it's not going to be able to go that freely, but instead I like that little bead there. It holds it and makes it tangle less. So then we take both wires. We're going to go through the loop here, and then we're going to go all the way forward. We're going to leave around 1/2 centimeter sticking out, and make sure that these titanium wires are flat on each side. We're going to go all the way back and keep the thread where the hook is still flat, so don't tie it down in the hook bend. Then we're going to go all the way forward again. Then we're going to go back again. Then we're going to go forward again, just to make this very strong. Here you can use a whip finish, or you can use a whip finish with your hand. Doesn't really matter, but just try to tie off the thread in some way that you prefer to do it. Tighten that. Then we're gonna cut that thread off. Here you can use, if you want to, you can use super glue or you can use a UV resin. It's all depending on what you have at your home. Most likely you have some super glue, so I like to kind of paint the thread here with the super glue, just to make this very strong and durable. And when you're doing this, I can really recommend you to do a few of these hooks, these hook rigs, you know, because then it becomes much easier. Then you can have this rotating and keep the glue becoming very nice and not wet when you start tying the fly. So this is the main hook. So putting that in the vise, tighten this, and as normal, we put some glue on the thread, on the hook shank here, and then we connect the thread basically from the hook point, and then we go back to basically where the barb is. I don't want you to go further back, because then you're going to come in the slope of the hook bend, and then you're going to have this extension for the next one. It's going to go basically a little bit down, and then you're going to have a tail coming here and a flyer there, and that doesn't look nice. You really want that straight hook. So you make a few wraps there, so it's nice and tight. Well, this bad boy is going to be a little bit wet. We have to be a little bit careful here. But what we're going to do is we're going to push these two ends here through the hook eye. We're going to go down, and then we're going to create the distance between these two hooks, which we would like to have, you know. And here I would say, I mean, you can make a very long fly if you want to, but then you're going to have a very fragile hook combination also. So keep it, I would say, around 5 centimeters, and then you're in good shape. If you're having a hard time finding really long bucktail, you can always shorten this down a little bit. So because you want that bucktail to be able to hit the end of these fast attach here. Otherwise, you're basically going to have bucktail, and then you going to have a kind of a two parts of the fly. So you want that fibers, the bucktail fibers, to be able to like the bunch I have prepared here for the tail now. You want that to be able to go past that fast attach. So this is fine for me. So I'm going to basically extend that a little bit, take the thread, push it down, hold it like this, then tie it backwards a little bit. We should not go behind the barb, and then we're going to work ourselves forward. Make sure that these two titanium is lined up in the back. So then we're going to go basically to the half of the hook here. Here we're going to push one of these up, because this hook eye is not really that suitable to push through, two titanium link through and fold it, because it makes it a little bit too small. And when you're using a fast attach to change different flies, you can have a problem with it. It's kind of gets stuck. So, but it's really important to go at least one time with one of the connection wires through here. So we go all the way forward with the thread. When you come here, kind of fold the vise if you have that possibility, and then you push with your thumb very hard, grab it with your left hand, and then kind of go over here. And then you stop around 1 centimeters from the hook eye, and then you just cut the existing material off. And then we're good to go. We go. And here's one little small trick for you. When we're passing where we cut the titanium wire off here, then that can be very sharp. So if you're using too much pressure on the thread, at that point, it sometimes cuts the thread. So be very light on the thread wrap when you're passing that point. Otherwise, you can just wrap, and then all of a sudden you break the thread, and it's because of that titanium is very sharp. So now we're basically done with the Bauer Pike rig. A good thing here is to kind of take one of the tails and connect it to the fly already here, because then you can see how long you want to keep the fly, so you can really see that you're not making it too long or too short, because you don't want too many of those fibers interfering too long back in the fly, because then the tail is going to tangle with the Flashabou and stuff like that, and it's just going to be a little bit kind of a mess. So you want to have the Flashabou and other fibers are going to go basically here somewhere, maximum in length. If they start to hitting this kind of like this first point here or fairly long back here, it can have a tendency to kind of snag each other with them. So be a little bit careful there. So a centimeter in the tail, that's perfect. So we're just gonna put one coat of super glue on this just to make it nice and strong. Now this might be a little bit wet still. No, it's actually quite dry, so that's okay. So we're gonna go with the thread all the way back. And then we're gonna use a yellow backtail. This is gonna be fluorescent yellow. And as normal, we're gonna use the tips here. Is better to have in the back because they don't extend or they don't flare as much as the one as further down here, because they contains more air, or at least they have the tendency to flare much more. So if you hold the bucktail like this part is better for the back of the hook, and this part is better for the front of the hook, because you get more volume when you do that. Just so this goes a little bit quicker, I've already prepared the amount here. So this is basically a normal bunch. It's hard to say exactly, but as normal, when I talk to you guys and meet you guys at fairs and stuff like that, a lot of people say, well, they're much smaller than they look on YouTube, so keep it less is more. So something like that. Take all the short fibers away, and then we're gonna try to, you can also taper them a little bit if they are a little bit different even in length. And then we're gonna push this through here. So now you can see that most of the fibers are around 1 centimeter into the tail here, which I think is quite perfect. So we're gonna grab this with the left hand, push this through here, so we get it around the whole hook. I don't know if we can see this, it's possible, but I want to have material all around this. So what you need to do is you kind of need to open the fingers a little bit when you're pushing the material through here, so you get fibers all around here. So push that through, go one turn, twice, and the third one you pull with a straight bobbin here. And then you get this to flare quite a lot. And this is to be able to keep that and create a lot of volume onto the fly here. So we do that, and we kind of continue working with the thread forward. And every time I pull, every time I go one time around here, I make kind of a pull on that with a straight bobbin. And then I put more tension, and I make this very strong and secure. I can just flip it around to see that I have some material on the belly, but I don't need to have too much material, just some there. Flip it back again. Hair clamp, really a good thing. Keeps the material away. And this is basically, from now on, it's basically a repetition on the previous pattern, except we're not going to use any saddle tails in this one. We're just going to use Flashabou. We're going to use some body material as I did in the first pattern, and then we're going to use a head of craft fur. So that was basically a repetition of most of the things we did in the previous one. So I mixed the tail with some different, a little bit thinner Flashabou this time. So it was a mixture of gold Flashabou and also Flashabou Mirage in orange. So I prefer to use a little bit thinner material in this one, just because it makes a nice transit over to the tail. So the tail is pushing, and actually you can get a little kind of a belly roll to the fly. So I like to use a little bit thinner Flashabou in that case. But it's nice to have these a little bit different type of styles of Flashabou into the same fly. So I've also run a little bit of the, as you can see, some of the a little bit wider Flashabou, which is the Magnum Flashabou, just to get a little bit difference in the fly, and also they kind of move in different speeds and everything like that, so you get a nice combination. So it was basically some thinner one in the tail, some a little bit bigger ones in the middle here, and then I hollow tied the second bunch of Bucktail here, just to get a lot of volume, and then I ended up with some orange one in the front, which I tied in normally. This is just to get the fly a nice even volume, but still you get the right profile to it. So now we basically, only thing we're going to do here is a craft fur head, which we're going to hollow tie and reverse it to get a very nice transit to it, and then we're basically done. And this type of fly is so versatile. You can put a weight under here and you have a jiggy fly onto it, or you can put a foam head and you have a hoover fly. Of course, you can exchange the craft fur to a kind of a dubbing, Titan dub or predator dubbing, or you can add that to the front too to make it even more complicated, but then you can get some different shades and stuff like that, which is really cool. So, but it's really good if you want to do a simple pattern, or this should be your second choice of pike fly in your box. So put that hair clamp on there. We're gonna move a little bit forward here with the tail, with the thread. So we're good to go here. Put just a tiny drop of glue here. And then I've prepared 2 pieces of craft fur, which we're basically gonna tie forward and fold back. So kind of like just wanna go like that. So we're gonna go with the thread quite far forward here. We're gonna tie that in. We're gonna go with the thread to push that material towards the hook eye. So basically, you see the thread is actually pushing really the thread here towards the hook eye, so we can make a nice fold back. We're gonna flip this around here and do the same here. I'm actually taking most of those thin fibers away already, so we're basically only the longer fibers that we have left in this craft fur here. So pushing that through there again, making a few wraps, pushing it through. You can moisture your fingers a little bit here so you can get them all forward. Then we're actually going to end the thread here, just to make that really nice head without any thread wraps at all. So we're gonna put some glue on the thread and then make one secure locking of the thread here. Tighten that. We're gonna cut that off. And what I like to do here is I basically want to go with the scissor and just cut most of this craft fur away, but leaving some, because that actually supports the lift of the whole head here. So you kind of like taper it and make it a nice transit into the bucktail. It's just a nice support. And then you take your reverse tool, you lift up the material, you push this over here, and you put your clamp on again here. So now you can see you have a really nice head with no thread wraps at all. So from now on, we're just gonna use a few drops of super glue onto your head, to the eyes, and then we're basically home free. So I like to run, nowadays, I like to use these stick-on eyes. And they come in all different shapes and colors. So I'm just gonna run the normal red ones. So you can use like the Predator eyes from Baccarini, which is super cool. Or you can use the more simple eyes, which are called the stick-on eyes. We're gonna use these to keep it a little bit simple. There's basically no difference in how to use them. You push your needle, double needle under the stick-on eye, you flip it around, put a little bit glue on the back side of the eye, making the fly land all straight, all flat like that. Putting the eye right where the hook eye ends, pushing it down flat with your thumb. Flip it around, so now you can see it's straight on the end of the hook eye here. Flipping that around a little bit. Pushing that through. And we will repeat exactly what we did on the other side. So a good thing is to kind of wet the material here a little bit, because it just makes it so much easier to handle. So then we're going to use Flexman, which is a UV resin, which is flexible, which I think is super good for this because it makes it very, very durable. So we're going to hold the material together here, and we're going to push the Flexman in the material between the eyes on the top there, and flip it around and do exactly the same thing on the belly. So put the resin straight down there. I have some bubbles here because the bottle was standing up here. Just want to kill those out. And now, a lot of people, when they start tying this, they forget to fold this up. So what I like to do is I'm just gonna push this here, so I get the head I want to. That's basically the shape I want. And then I cure this here, or I hit the lamp. So I start to harden the resin. So you kind of get that shape to the head that I want to. And now I can run a comb through here and make it like all nice and fine. I'm gonna push this on here again just to get all those fibers away. And now we're gonna go on the side here just to create that nice head. So we're gonna go half of the eye, half outside the eye, flip it around, half onto the eye, half on the outside. Got a little bit of fiber here which is bugging me. Just gonna take that away. I'm gonna release that a little bit so we don't make it too complicated. So there we go. So now basically the whole head is secured. And if you have any strands, you can take a razor blade and just take the existing fibers away here. So now we have that whole head secured with one layer. So now I'm just going to go through once more with the Flexman all around the head here. Don't forget to kind of rotate the fly a little bit the whole time, so you don't get a lot of this UV resin in your knee. You can always go through, and before you harden it, you can go and add some and kind of move it around a little bit so you're happy with the result here. And then we're gonna just hit the torch and harden this. This could just slow down the paste a little bit. When you're hardening it, you're gonna have a really nice head to this, which is gonna be super durable, and it's gonna hold you forever. So this is basically maybe your second pike fly, or you've tied a lot. And then if you want to have this perfect shape to this, you just put a snap here, you put it under warm or cold water, and you push it through here, and then when it dries, you just lay it hang here. You're gonna get a super perfect fish form to it, and it's just ready to fish. Otherwise, of course, you can just fish it like it is, and the next time you use it, it's gonna look perfect in your box. But this is a very simple pattern, a good all-around pattern, and of course, if you want to win this, please leave a comment in the thread here and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you have a chance to win it. You can especially fish it with this bright red one or a gold tail killer pattern. Go ahead and